the Saudi League, or maybe we shouldn't. Things have changed. KP, I'll start with you here again, because you and I talked about this on Thursday night. And the update was Phil Mickelson with some comments to Alan Shipnuck that were, I don't know, strange at worst, and I don't know, outrageous at best. I don't know what they were, but since then the tone and seemingly the support for the Saudi League has evaporated. Dustin Johnson announcing through the PGA Tour this morning that he is committed to the PGA Tour, and only an hour or two later does Bryson DeChambeau come out and release a not as sticky statement, but one that says he's staying here on the PGA sides.
Yeah, Bryson was hedging pretty hard, huh?
Yeah, there was a good hedge in there. He left the door open.
People just abandoning ship, though. I mean,
yeah,
and you know, it's unlike Phil to torpedo his chances of something succeeding at the 11th hour. We haven't seen that from him ever in his career. Kidding, of course. I mean, we talked about this for a long time on Thursday, Rick. It remains like every day I wake up and I'm like, did Phil really say that? Like, were those real sentences that came out of his mouth? And like, you can't, it just didn't have a chance after that, right? Like, nobody's like, oh yeah, even DJ, who is kind of like whatever about everything. Nobody's like, yeah, I'm in on that. You know, especially with Phil kind of admitting that he created the league. He and a couple other players drafted the what's it called?
Operating agreement.
The operating agreement. Like, who's still in? I mean, Rory said this on Sunday. He was like, I mean, are they going to get Greg Norman to tee it up? Like, who's in on that? And I just don't understand. Like, I have to believe that Phil thought he was off the record, or he's just, so your two options are he either thought he was off the record, or he is just oblivious and maybe arrogant enough to believe that it doesn't matter because he's Phil, right? Those are your only two options of why he would say what he said. And he just kind of, I mean, he got out over his skis, and now, you know, none of this is going to happen because of it.
The line that really stuck out to me, and by the way, we're having a Shipnuck on course record tomorrow, and I can't wait.
He might be the hero that saved the PGA Tour.
It's going to be really interesting to
That'll be cool.
Hear his thoughts on Phil. But the thing I thought was so interesting in that was Phil saying, I'm not even sure I want it to work. I'm not even sure I care that it works. And now I'm like, well, are the whoever's running the site, is Greg Norman happy about that? Probably not. That's not good. That article, those statements weren't good for any side. I mean, imagine if you were going to pay somebody, just to speculate here, $100 million to come and be the face of your new league, or join your new league, write the operating procedure, and then you find out it's just to leverage the PGA Tour. I mean, it's like dating a woman to make your ex upset. That's not good for anybody. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I'm really worried about Phil. I think those comments were, and then the three players he brought on to help. How upset are you? You bring me in here knowing it's gonna, or not caring if it succeeds or fails. Are we bait? You brought me in as bait. So very.
How does he return to the PGA Tour? Like, what does that look like? Show up at the players.
Yeah. Oh no!
You're like, hey, what's my tee time?
Yeah, what's the next Phil Mickelson public statement going to look like? I can't wait for that.
Yeah, it's kind of beyond belief. I mean, we talked about that on Thursday, Rick, but it defies, like, I mean, if like the thing that I could believe is that he was using it for leverage with the PGA Tour, but not really saying that, right? Because that's kind of what everybody's saying all along. The thing that defies belief is that he would say it out loud.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was about to say leverage, and then you say stuff like that. Oh goodness, no.
Yeah, he said the quiet part, Mark. The other thing is that, like 6 days ago, Mark, it was they've got 20. They're going to make an announcement at the Players Championship to really stick it to the PGA Tour, and now this thing has seemingly grinded to a halt because you can't really move forward without Bryson. You can't really move forward without DJ. If you want to take 18 older Europeans, I don't think you've got much of a league.
I still have not seen an event schedule. The players essentially torpedoed the thing a little bit today, and it's going down in flames a little bit, in my opinion. I'm tired of it. I can see where the league was coming from. And you can go and listen to the transcripts of mine on the show. I've just never seen how they felt like they could entice all of the top games from the top league in the world, the PGA Tour, and say, yo, come play for us and we're going to give you a whole bunch of money. There's more to it for a lot of folks. I won't say all of them, than the money. Now, the money is certainly very enticing, but I still don't see a schedule. I don't see broadcast partners. I don't see any of this sort of stuff. And like Colin Morikawa rightly said in his press conference Tuesday morning or whenever it was, he goes, yeah, I can't operate on promises. He goes, it's got to be concrete. And there's zero. Although we know there's concrete right now, as DJ is now out, Bryson apparently is out, and guys like Rory and Rahm and the power hitters have said, we're not interested. So it's going to be ceremonial if it does happen to me.
Well, I think the other thing is like who else is really like Phil, honestly, like might be the only person who wants leverage here. Like who else is wanting more out of the PGA Tour?
Okay, so let me bounce this right back to you. So Phil is going to be the villain of all of this, and rightfully so, and that's fine. Did it work, Kyle? If it was leverage to the PGA Tour, we've got PIP, we've got money injected into prize purses, we've got conversation about potentially making the fall portion of the schedule not FedEx Cup points, but kind of smaller, more guaranteed money, maybe some team events. Not the right way to do it, but did the leverage kind of work?
That's a good question. I think it did for people. I mean, not that Morikawa was involved, but for people like Morikawa and Cantlay and Spieth and JT, because they're going to be involved in those events. They're going to be relevant in the PIP. They're going to be up there at the top at all this stuff. And what Phil wants, I think Phil just wants to barnstorm like the world and just play like exhibition events, right? And so what he wants out of that is basically a free pass from the tour, as well as his media rights to just go and do that, as well as still being part of the PGA Tour. And he didn't, I mean, to my knowledge, he didn't get that out of it. He didn't receive that. So I think it worked if you're looking broadly at the whole thing, but I don't know that it worked specifically for what Phil was wanting.
To that, I want to confirm with you guys, because from what I'm aware, I don't think any of the major leagues, NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA, I don't think the players in those leagues own their rights either. So just to something to mull over there, and from creating other ancillary deals on the tour to generate more funds toward the top players and stuff. Commissioner Monahan is the one thing I will say about him. He's very much a player-centric commissioner. And from when he came in, the drive was and has always been to kind of, bring it back to the players, because they are the product. And so a lot of these things that are happening, they don't happen overnight. We'd like to think they probably do, but they're in the works for a long, long time. I mean, ESPN Plus, PGA Tour Live, for argument's sake, that's been in the works for like multiple years now. So you don't just flip a switch and suddenly go, well, we're going to play team events in the fall. Yeah, that stuff has been thought about. It's been mulled over. Now, maybe this might have greased the skids a little bit, but ever since I've known Monahan, he came in and his sole focus was to grow the game and obviously to highlight the players and make it worth their while.
This might be the last we hear about the Saudi League for now. Greg, we'll see what comes. Obviously, a lot has changed in the last 4 or 5 days. It might continue to change very rapidly, but I don't imagine this is going to be the last threat to the PGA Tour, right? We've talked about this before. Golf is in a great spot. There are many young players. There's a lot of new money in it. There are going to be other startups. But it appears, as for now, on this Sunday evening, that the PGA Tour has at least fended off its biggest threat for now.
Yes. And look, I think what Mark brought up what Morikawa said earlier. I think those were some really important words. This was a threat with a really big checkbook, but not really anything else. And so you got to make sure that, yeah, here's the other thing. What else are you going to do in the game of golf that's going to be better than the PGA Tour? We want a team concept. We want different aside from, then I'm just thinking hypothetically here, aside from paying the players more or giving them more control over the tour, what's going to be something that entices them to play? And I think one thing we always find with different formats is that it all comes back to stroke play, 72-hole stroke play. That leads to the best finishes of events. And when you try out these other concepts, while they sound great and it's great and in theory to mix it up, it usually doesn't show out the same way and generate the same interest. So I'm interested to see if they come out with any real theories or concepts on what this is all about, what this really looks like, what the league actually is, because I don't think they have anything. And so all in all, this has been a great week for the PGA Tour.
Hey, Greg, and along these lines too, and I'll throw this right back to you. You talk to any young golfer, even the guys in the PGA Tour, you grow up on the putting green or at your home club or whatever, and you have dreams of winning the Masters, winning the Open wherever you live, and playing on the PGA Tour. And the PGA Tour is the Titan. And yeah, there could be arguments made about monopolizing and stuff like that, but it is the kingpin. And you don't just in the blink of an eye unseat the kingpin, not as strong as this, because it's the organization, and it's more than just the organization. It's everyone who wants to play this thing. I think Pat Perez said it best. He goes, so a few elder statesmen leave to go and play in some paid-for league. He goes, you line up players from California to Florida to come play on the PGA Tour. And these guys, we're seeing them come out now, Cameron Young and company. The tour is not going to go away. It's just not going to go away. It's just how it is.
Well, and this was my point on, I think when we talked on either Tuesday or Thursday, is like the tour got so much great marketing out of this by not doing anything, where all these guys and all of us, like most people in the media are just riding so hard for the tour in ways that, like the tour has its issues, just like any organization or big sports league, but like everybody is just like going to the mat for the PGA Tour, and you're like, wait a second, like how did everybody end up like being like defending the tour so vociferously? And it's just it like worked out perfectly for them the way that it's kind of gone down.
Yeah, it really.
You think Phil's in the running for the PIP again this year?
I think he's going to be the PAC co-chairman.
Oh, but I can't wait to see the Netflix documentary on this one.
Oh my God.
It's gonna
what
be
a time.
amazing time.
Did they let the cameras in the back room with the agents and company when they're taking phone calls about it?
That's what we need. True all access, baby. Okay, we've got to do our betting and one and done update. Spoiler alert, it ain't great. We'll do that, but first we're going to take a quick break and hear a word from our partners.